And so join in as we start that live press conference concerning those issues. Good? Yeah. Let me start by saying a pleasant good morning to members of the media who are present with us this morning here at the Communication Workers Union. My name is Clyde Elder, and I am the Secretary General of the Communication Workers Union. And with me this morning, the President of the Union, Sister Joan Ojir, and of course, we have other members of the executive present with us who are in the building because we had just finished a meeting with TSTT where we engaged in some discussions, issued notices of retrenchment to over 468 workers or 468 workers. 376 of those workers were in the union's bargaining unit. We'd have taken the company to court and they would have signed a consent order indicating that they will abide by the law and they will issue notices or new notice of retrenchment to the 376 and effectively extending their time in the company where they will no longer be going home on June 1st, but they'll be going home on July 15th. So effectively, they got additional 45 days service added to their vacation to claim in either discussion by the offer. So one of the things we realized, 20 employees who management will be given what the company, what they have done is that they have taken job authority functions from it. This job is now outside the bargaining to add these positions in order to remain gainfully employed. We certainly will not want to stand in the way of those employees. We have not been given that list as yet. We have been promised that at the end of today, that list will come. And of course, when that list comes, we're going to inform the membership and the workers who is on that list and retire or whatever it is they want to do. The union, that's what it is. And that continues. That action of the company continues. Additionally, the discussions will continue after we get that information. We're supposed to get later today. And the union is also supposed to provide further list of workers to the company whose dates of employment is inaccurate. But the company's date for them is 2000 or 1998. So they have lost 3 years to 5 years in some instances of service, and that 3 to 5 years service will result in significant amount for those employees if they are calculated correctly and accordance with what their correct date of service is. So we're going to have some further discussions with the company, some further talks with the company on the retrenchment and on the restructuring exercise as we move along and as we exchange correspondence. But today was the first day that we engage in consultation within the period of notice and within the 45 days period as provided for at Section 10 of the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act. So we have been having discussion with the company and we are looking at ways to save as much jobs as possible. What we can see from the outset is that immediately there's a proposal to save about 25 of those jobs should those employees be so inclined. And of course, as I said, 184 people have also been offered redeployed positions, which means that those 184 will also not be sent home, even though they would have been earmarked, not given notice of retrenchment, but have been question on that issue of the redeployment and the restructuring that we spoke about thus far. Okay, you okay? Yes, nice. Now, over the weekend, the union would have issued a press release. And that press release had to do with a disruption in service that occurred on the North Coast, in the Tobago area, which disruption didn't affect just the North Coast, but it affected Tobago in a significant way. Tobago's service and operations were impacted in that they had no internet, no landline, no cable. They had no service because of that disruption on the North Coast. A fiber in mere hours, maybe about 2 or 3 hours for the most, maximum. But it took TSTT almost 24 hours to restore a service that should not have taken so long to restore. And the reason for that is because they have sent home critical employees, key employees to the company, who knows the job, who knows the plant, who knows and has the experience to execute not just effectively, but in a timely manner. And because of TSTT's mismanagement, they are now not in a position to do that. And what we have happening is that was the latest example. Throughout Trinidad and Tobago, there's a handful of employees who have remained, who are being stretched thin, and who is working round the clock and overtime almost every single day to ensure people get service, and they cannot keep up with the rate of disruptions that's taking place. So as effective as those who are remaining are, and they are very talented employees who have remained, they are not enough to satisfy the needs of the customers who are being disrupted. In fact, in Mayaro, there was a disruption in service affecting some critical areas and businesses, banks included. And some of those businesses are threatening, and some have already pulled their service from TSTT. Now, that is a worrying sign and development, not just for the workers, but for the union and for the country. Because what it means is that it is the continued decimation of TSTT by this inept, incompetent, corrupt management in TSTT. And if it continues, and if this slide is allowed to continue without being arrested, then what will happen is that very soon you may find that there's no more TSTT. It appears as if it's a deliberate, planned position by the company to ensure that that happens. We'd have even seen one attorney, I think it was Martin George, who was so fed up over the weekend. He put out a post, he said, TSTT take win. All you take win. I done. I can't depend on only for good service. Take win. I going to find somebody else. And he's not alone in that regard. He's not alone in that thinking. And what is worse for us is that TSTT has the best infrastructure and network compared to all of the providers and competitors. We have the best, but you'll feel that we have the worst because of how the company is being mismanaged. But we have the worst managers, but we have the best network infrastructure. And if TSTT is properly managed, the comments made by Martin George and others will be comments that is lauding and praising an indigenous entity to Trinidad and Tobago, that TSTT is. It is the only provider in this country that is ours. All the others are foreign owned. But even though the others are foreign owned, when it comes to competing neck and neck, infrastructure for infrastructure, they cannot compete with TSTT. But when you start to compare and look at the management, that is where we begin to have problems. So we are calling upon this government, the Minister of Public Utilities, very much public when retrenchment was taking place, that they supported the retrenchment. The government supported this retrenchment, very much defending TSTT, Minister Gonzalez. Where are you now to defend the citizens and the customers of TSTT who need defending now? So defend the TSTT's action to send home workers, but you're not there to defend the rights of the citizens and the customers who paid for service. Defend that. Defend them. And we call on the government to please halt the slide that is taking place in TSTT. We have been saying it for years. You continue to say it. There's a slide taking place, and you need to halt the slide. Government, only you can stop it. And if it is you have taken a hands-off approach, then sad to say that it is not going to get any better for TSTT. It is only going to get worse. We sincerely hope as a union that is not the case. That will not be the case. But the evidence is not allowing us to have much more hope than that. Yes? So I just want to again pause here and ask if there's any questions, comments, or any suggestions that anybody may want to bring.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Elder. TSTT mentions this theft. What has happened?
Well, TSTT has sent home the Estate Police Association members, the security. They used to, in fact, the cables used to be alarmed cables. The copper cables used to be alarmed. From the time you cut it, even before you reach the copper itself, an alarm is sent to what is called the NOC, the NOC, National Operating Center, and not the same NOC as the country's NOC. And they will immediately deploy TSTT security to those breakdowns, those plant cuts. What is happening now is that saboteurs, vandals are running rampant throughout TSTT's plant. They don't know the difference between cable, that is copper, and cable as fiber, so they cut in all. And only when they realize this is a copper cable, they say, well, nothing, they leave that. But the damage is already done because the service is out. And they're so brazen, they're cutting copper cables in front of police stations. I saw a picture of a Barco police station where the cable is just hanging and just cut in front of the police station. Like apparently not even the police can stop these vandals. And the union had written to TSTT asking for a meeting to discuss the life of copper and even the reckoning of the copper, because if the vandals are seeing value in it, then how come TSTT not seeing the value in it? So Amalgamated now is charged with maybe protecting these cables. And we have seen videos of Amalgamated people either cutting it, and TSTT has come out and said that they gave them the authority to cut it and to secure it. But we have also seen videos of Amalgamated vans in scrap iron dealer yard. So the TSTT also give Amalgamated security officers the permission to cut it and sell it. Because what are the Amalgamated security vehicles doing in the scrap dealer yard? That is TSTT cable. If you cut it to secure it, bring it back to the TSTT compound. And TSTT will then decide how they get rid of their cable. They may pack it in containers and ship it away and get some US dollars for it. Who knows? And there's enough copper cable outside there that can be wrecked, shipped in containers, and exported, and that money used to pay the workers who you are owing money to in TSTT. Retrenched workers, active workers, retirees, they owe money. You could use that money and pay them. But instead, TSTT has taken this hands-off approach, or they just thief the cable, have a free fall. And they thiefing and cutting copper and fiber and amalgamated either is complicit sometimes, maybe, they say they're not, but from the videos we are seeing, or they're not equipped and experienced to deal with protecting TSTT's plants and equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Elder. Is it safe to say after the Zero Copper initiative announced by TSTT, the vandalism increased? And is it also safe to say or assume that this retrenchment was rushed and ill-planned? And do you think that the company is now realizing that they have made a mistake by sending home most of the skilled labor, especially where these vandalisms are taking place with fiber and copper?
I think so. I accept that wholeheartedly. After TSTT announced this Zero Copper initiative, which to me was foolish, because we believe that the copper plant could have worked hand in hand with the fiber plant. We believe that the copper plant could have acted as a redundancy for the fiber plant. And therefore, this Zero Copper initiative that was announced appears to be, and it seems to us that when they made that announcement, it was an invitation to the criminal elements to say, we don't want our copper cables no more, or goes to fiber. We don't want our copper cables no more. You could take that cable and go with it. Because we are in a zero copper campaign, we don't want a copper cable no more. Take that out. They can't get back service simply because TSTT is not in a position to provide them with service in the area because there's no fiber in the area. So you say zero copper, but there isn't 100% coverage of fiber throughout the country. So how could you go on zero copper initiative? And I believe, yes, that they have not realized that they made a mistake in one, that zero copper initiative, and two, sending home a number of key skilled workers who are very much experienced to treat with these situations when they arise. So yes, I accept that it was a mistake, and they realized it's a mistake to send these workers. And yes, it was a rushed decision to send home and retrench workers. I recall last year, May, when Ingrid Lashley put out her press statement, we said that a retrenchment coming. November last year, TSTT said, no, that is not so. No retrenchment is coming. Only for January to come and say, we invited all unions to discuss restructuring, and then they come and announce this retrenchment of TSTT. So yes, of TSTT workers. So yes, it was rushed, and yes, I believe they are not realizing that they have made some wrong decisions, but because of pride, they will not come out and say, we were wrong. We accept that this was done in a bad way, and we want to fix it. Pride will not allow them to do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elder. I have one more question for you, and I believe it's the hottest topic that seems to be hitting the media these days. The alleged hiring of Kamal Georges, his entry into TSTT. Could the union say, one, what value can he add to the company? And two, is the union aware of the hiring process, etc., as well as other panelists? What about the panelists? Who are the other applicants for this? Or was it solely Kamal George's entry into TSTT, allegedly?
Well, from what we have heard, and we stand to be corrected, it appears to us that Kamal Georges did not go through any recruitment process, any selection process, other than being handpicked to say, I want you, come in this position. I have no issues with Kamal Georges. I want to make that very clear. Kamal as an individual, I do not know the gentleman personally, except from seeing him on TV reading news. And anybody who is given an opportunity for betterment, they will take it. I have no issue with Kamal Georges. My issue is, of course, with TSTT and their process to get Kamal Georges here. Because who else was interviewed? Who knew about that position being open or not? It can't be that only Kamal Georges has the capability and the experience and the knowledge and the aptitude to perform that function that they have now placed him in. What about all of the other employees who were retrenched and who maybe anointed company was doing some kind of further studies in mass communication or in media work or whatever it is like that? Were they given an opportunity? The answer is no. There was an employee, in fact, who was performing that job that they have not brought Kamal to perform for far less than they will be paying Kamal. I've seen and heard figures of what have you. Us, that is not far-fetched, given what TSTT's senior man to be more. The job is getting from CNC choose to read news. Apart from that, what other value can he bring to this job? And will he be actually performing the function consistent with the pay he's getting? Now, the company may say, here, come in TSTT, come in Amplia. But who owns Amplia? TSTT owns Amplia. So they're just playing smart with foolishness. So you sent home 468 employees because you don't want to pay them. They're not good enough to keep. And you're bringing Kamal Georges and find money wherever you find it to pay him. And he's more than good enough to bring in. That is a slap in the face of and they just get discarded by the wayside, and up comes a blue-eyed boy to take your place. That can never be fair to the employees of TSTT, and that is wrong, and it has not yet been effected, and we call on the government once again. Because Lisa ain't going to stop it. Lisa God will not stop it. She, in fact, would have been the one who perpetuated it. And therefore, we call on the board. Sean Roach, well, I've not heard about him and from him in the longest while. Minister of Public Utilities, you need to defend. You need to defend and protect the interests of Trinidad and Tobago because we own 51% of TSTT.
And my final question to you, Mr. Elder, where is the Minister of Labour in this debacle at TSTT?
Where has he been? Where has he always been? Silent. Not hearing him. And when you do hear him, it's better he didn't say anything at all. Now, we sent a correspondence dated June 7th to the Minister of Labour as part of the objection to the retrenchment exercise. Up to this day, not even an acknowledgement from the Ministry of Labour saying that we got your letter. Not even an acknowledgement to the union's objection. So the Minister of Labour has been silent since he has been in office. He continues to be silent and he's ineffective and he should be fired and replaced immediately because he is not fit for purpose. He not fit for purpose, Lisa not fit for purpose, Sean Roach not fit for purpose. And I think Marvin Gonzalez not fit for purpose either. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah. Okay, so if not, let me thank you all for coming. TV6, I realize you came late, but you can get most of it, if not all of it, on our Facebook Live.
No, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. It wasn't getting it clear.
Okay. But I'm sure the video will load later on and you'll get the whole thing. But let me thank you all for coming and for responding to the union's invitation to this press conference. And we're going to keep you updated as the talks progress with the company as to what happens to the retrenchment from now until July 15th, sorry, and after July 15th. Thanks again and have a wonderful day and be safe.
But after you should be able to get the whole thing.
Okay.
That's not
Thank you.
the quality. Hold on.
TTT, take a picture of these two signs over the Secretary General,
Okay,
please.
already.
You take it? Right.
That's
No
not.
idea what's happening.